Last evening, Kamala Harris gave her DNC convention speech. Watched the entire thing, and I thought it was an objectively terrible speech. Now, it was fine written. It was all right. Some of it was very confusing, hard to track. Going from it, I still don't know her story. I know that she had a lot of people around her when she grew up, and she worked at a McDonald's. It wasn't really a memorable or well-structured narrative. I don't think it was well delivered at all. Her eyes were all over the place. I say this as someone who speaks for a living. And I could tell you that when you're preparing to speak at that level, the first thing they say is do not keep on moving your head back and forth. She kept on going her head back and forth. Her arms were all out of what we call the box. And now I might be nitpicking, but I'm not. This is your convention. You want to be president of the United States. You are no Obama. And I say this as someone who has nothing but contempt for Barack Hussein Obama. He gave an unbelievable speech. Michelle Obama, whoa. I mean, Michelle Obama, she met that moment. In some ways, they just made her look bad because Kamala Harris is not able to live up to that. Kamala Harris looked uncomfortable. She did not look poised. She looked frenetic. She did not look as if she wanted to be there. And it's fine. It's a big stage. But if you want to be president, you're going to be graded at the highest possible curve imaginable. So let's get into the substance of the speech. There wasn't a lot of substance in the speech. Now, the media said the speech was electric. Just ignore all that. The media is so in the bag right now. They believe the media's mission right now is to do whatever it takes to prevent Donald Trump from becoming president. Misrepresent, lie, gaslight, make you think as if this speech was the best speech since Obama. Let's go to this one right here. The theme was that Kamala Harris was promising things once she becomes an elected office. She's the current vice president of the United States. Jake Tapper was like, well, what an opportunity for her to introduce herself to the country. She's the vice president of the United States. She introduced herself 4 years ago. She gave a convention address all to herself 4 years ago. She's been VP for 4 years. She has cast tie-breaking votes. She's been the nominee for 2 weeks. The country knows who she is. It's not a matter of introducing yourself to the country. For all we know, she's the acting president of the United States. And the media is allowing this to occur. They're allowing Kamala Harris to get away with something so flagrant, so obvious, which is she has political power right now. Why don't you do something about the suffering? Now, the speech was poorly constructed in this way, that there was not a Bill Clinton moment of, I feel your pain. Instead, it's Donald Trump's fault. And once I'm president, we're going to fix this. Hold on a second. Why don't you do it now? Why haven't you done it the last 3.5 years? Because it's empty promises. It's all fluff. It's all substance. And it's all a fraud. She has a pen. She has a phone. Right now, she could demand that the IRS does not go after taxing on tips. Right now, Kamala Harris could convene Congress and demand a middle-class tax hike. Right now, Kamala Harris could demand a complete moratorium on the southern border. Right now, Kamala Harris could demand the end of the war in Ukraine, Russia, because it's all political rhetoric. Now, it might work on some people. This sort of propaganda can be lethal to run up against. The lethality for a civilization against propaganda, I hope this only plays to the base. I hope this only plays to the base of the Democrat Party. Let's go to one cut here where she says, once I am president, I will pass a middle-class tax cut. Why didn't you do that the last 3.5 years? Play cut 179.
Well, instead of a Trump tax hike, we will pass a middle-class tax cut.
Okay, first of all, this is a complete fraud. Donald Trump has cut tax to the middle class. What she is calling a tax is actually a tariff. And she won't say that. And that's if you're being extremely generous to Kamala Harris and her interpretation of what's really going on. She says that Donald Trump threatened to abandon NATO. He encouraged Putin to invade our allies. Kamala Harris, he invaded while you were vice president and you spoke at the Munich Security Conference. Vladimir Putin did not take an acre of land from Ukraine while he was president. President Trump was able to deter Vladimir Putin from going anywhere into Crimea. He invaded under Obama and annexed Crimea. He invaded under Biden. the gaslighting and the lemmings that accept this at the Democrat Party. Vladimir Putin took a 4-year break from invading the apple of his eye. Why? Why did Vladimir Putin not invade Ukraine under Trump? Why did Vladimir Putin not take Crimea? Why did maybe because Donald Trump was an effective president of peace through strength. Play cut 180.
Trump, on the other hand, threatened to abandon NATO. He encouraged Putin to invade our allies.
He encouraged Putin to invade our allies. No, that was you, Kamala Harris. Do you know what you did? You went to the Munich Security Conference and said that Ukraine might be part of NATO. This is the mirror image of the truth. And she says it with complete sincerity. It is the opposite of the truth. It's worse than a lie. A lie would be a couple standard deviation degrees away from the truth. It is the opposite of it. Kamala Harris continues, and she says, I fought against the cartels who trafficking guns and drugs and human beings to threaten the security of the border and the safety of our families. You have been in charge of a border where 10 million illegals have come into this country. Instead of even offering a slight, we could do better, it is full fraudulent gaslighting. Their capacity to lie is chilling. Their capacity to just want political power in such a Machiavellian way, it's impressive, but this is the stuff that the end of civilizations is made of. Play cut 184.
I fought against the cartels who traffic in guns and drugs and human beings, who threaten the security of our border and the safety of our communities. And I will tell you, these fights were not easy. And neither were the elections that put me in those offices. We were underestimated at practically every turn. But we never gave up, because the future is always worth fighting for.
Okay, well, first of all, the cartel's currently controlling the border. There are 320,000 missing children in this country right now, just under her watch. Where are the kids? They're being used as sex slaves. They're being raped, child labor. 320,000 missing kids. You haven't fought the cartels, Kamala Harris. The cartels are wearing Kamala Harris for president t-shirts. The cartels are richer. They are stronger. They are more powerful. They have more capacity to be able to hurt Americans. Just ask Laken Riley or Rachel Morin and their families, I should say. The tens of thousands of Americans that die from fentanyl overdoses because of you. And you say, I fought against the cartels who traffic drugs and guns. No, you have turned the border into a superhighway of smuggled children, smuggled guns, smuggled drugs, and you've done nothing about it except you've been a co-sponsor of the invasion of this country.